my friends stand by me only if I'm right. I come out of triple darkness just to see the light. If I say it once, I guarantee I say it twice. If they love me, I ain't going out without a fight. In my dreams, I'm a killer, but for God, man. Try to play it cool, but it's getting hard, man. Rolling with the real and death to all the frauds, man. Not too many on me, yeah, it's kinda hard, man. In my room, sitting in my room. Know they waiting on me and I'm coming soon. Never been a sellout, never been a coon. Y'all be on the camera.
Poppy.
Yeah. Yeah, you better believe I got a sweet tooth, but ain't nothing sweet. I know you spend all your money to treat. I'm about to spend this little money on treats. Was on a diet, but I gotta cheat. Jumped off the porch, now I'm on 2nd Street. Tamika, my twin, she rolling that dough, and I think about counting that dough in my sleep. What's up, TJ? Before y'all run, I don't wanna be late. I need a little something, I hit this way, and I need it now, I don't need a delay. Peanut butter like my snack, like my woman. Denzel Washington, I'm leaving with sun. Chocolate chip, baby, you know how I'm coming. Banana pudding, no, we got it jumping, yeah. Yeah, got butterific, I'm feeling terrific. Serving them cookies is not just a gimmick. They pulling them now cause they love to mimic, yeah. I need a pack, I need a sack, I need a stack, I need a rack. Man, I need everything in a bag down.
You better believe it.
Ay, butterific, yeah, butterific, shit, butterific.
Hey, welcome to the B21 Podcast, the show with 5 lifelong friends, brothers, cousins, become family, sit down and talk about the things that matter the most. We're diving into fatherhood, building businesses, strengthening communities, navigating relationships, all with the honesty that only decades of friendship can bring. Grab at the seat at the table, you family now. What's up, fellas? What's going on?
What's good,
What it do, man? What it do?
What's good? It's a beautiful day, beautiful day. Hey, fellas,
since you doing the intro, we can't even get your what up though. Your little
what up though? Yeah. It's a beautiful day, man. I just saw a couple of kids out riding the bikes, man, and I wish I was out there with them. And it just feeds into our topic today: the mentor gap, and why do young men need us? We talked about in previous shows about some of the things going on with our young people. We talked about just about every show, but let's start with Coach Joaquin, what's so important about our young men need us and why we need mentors in the community, in school, in the neighborhood?
Man, that's a big question. I think a lot of times what you see is that a lot of kids are out here, they just rudderless, what I like to call they rudderless. And so they gotta have young people or older people in their lives to kind of give them the exposure that they need and mentor them in a way that I'm kind of struggling for what I want to say right now. But it's funny, man. Mentors expose you. And what I like to say is, man, they save you a lot of time if you listen to them. Because as we move through this life, we make mistakes, we learn lessons. And sometimes when you have that mentor in your life, it can save you a lot of time. When you make these mistakes, they set you back in time, they set you back in money. And mentors can be a guidepost. They can say, hey, I've done this. This is how you do it. I always tell people that if you think about, like, people will always say professional athletes is like 1 in a million. It's very random in terms of how tough it is to be a professional football player, athlete, or whatever. But I always say it really is. Those people have mentors in their life that can show them the way. And if it wasn't so, you wouldn't have so many fathers and sons and brothers and cousins that make it to the league. It's not random. There's a formula to it. And this is what you got to have your God-given stuff, but there's a formula. And when you have a father who's been, an uncle who's been, he can say, this is how you do it. And now you can get to where you're trying to go. Mentors save you a lot of time, and they help shape how you see the world. So that's what I would start off with. I know it's a little all over the place, but that's what I would start off with.
No, we
absolutely. I'm gonna pull one of James. A mentor in the definition is an experienced, trusted advisor who provides guidance, support, and knowledge to help someone less experienced grow personally or professionally. Go ahead,
you broke
James.
down the actual. That's great.
Yeah, yes, sir.
It was something I mean, other than it, being so or less formal, because it was great that you started with Wah, and I had a question for him because in some of the ways he has become. Do you realize that you're a mentor, Wah? Are you? I don't believe you're conscious of the fact how you stepped in for your family, because I've sat back and watched you, bro, for your little cousins, for other people, bro, and this was years ago. How you just kind of stepped in, just like naturally, you know what I mean? Though you said a lot and you was trying to kind of put it together real nice and everything, but it had me curious, and I felt it was perfect for you to begin, because I see that, and I've seen that firsthand from us, from our crew, from you first and foremost, bro. And I admire that, bro, and I commend you for that, bro. And I know it wasn't. I think from my looking from the outside looking in, I know it was just natural for you. You know what I mean? It wasn't anything that you just I don't believe you thought about it or anything like that. So just to kind of touch on how that's so needed and necessary, but not always to the forefront of many Black men's minds to where they feel they have to do that. So kudos to you, bro. For one.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate that, man. It's one of those things that as you move through this world and you think back, man, I wish I would have had this, or I wish I would have paid more attention to this. And so then you just try to become what you wish you had. And in many ways I did have it. And so I just kind of pulled from a whole bunch of people and say, all right, let me now pull from all these people that I've had around me and try to be that for a lot of other people. And so that's all it's been, man. And it's a lifelong commitment. I had a player call me that I coached, 18, 19 years ago. And we had lunch 2 weeks ago.
Wait a minute, how long you been coaching?
Over 2 decades.
You got to keep that going. We got to keep
2 decades. Over 2 decades.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, man, he called me up and we went and had lunch and got caught up and kind of reinvigorated him and energized him to kind of do some things that he want to do. And
wow.
It's a lifelong commitment when you become a mentor. So that's definitely what I tried to be, man, for family members and a lot of other people.
Good stuff.
Absolutely.
Good stuff. But yeah, JG, what I was going to say, bro, though, regarding this and how the subject was brought up, and not that I did any actual statistics or anything like that. However, just kind of thinking about it and looking at it from a general standpoint, it seems like Black men or as mentors or good fathers, if you will, have become almost as rare as it, that ratio of women to men. You know what I mean? It's like very few good Black fathers and or mentors exist for these children in the sense of that disproportionate ratio. You know what I mean? I don't know. Again, I don't know what the actual statistics are, but it's very, it just seems to me, again, generally, or just kind of looking out as to what, or not seeing so many programs or things or evidence that helps me think otherwise or believe otherwise, that it's just a huge disparity with regards to the number of good Black men and or mentors. You know what I mean?
Well, I think I echo what you said about Waukee, as well as when you do that often enough and consistent enough, and his family, you becoming a patriarch. You know what I'm saying? And that's an excellent thing. You also touched on creating safe space for young Black men, and that's what we all do, right? And that's one of the purposes of our podcast and of our lives. Talik, who are some of the mentors in your life that help you succeed business-wise, personally-wise, and who are you mentoring now, if any, officially, unofficially?
Yeah, most of them unofficial in my eyesight. But on the same level, there's so many people that call me their business coach, and I laugh and I chuckle, but at the same time, I'm such a cheerleader for business owners and and navigating that space. But each one of y'all brothers definitely mentor, you know, in various ways. We all bounce our ideas off one another. We gain so much knowledge from one another. But I'm always helping someone in that entrepreneurial space. There's so many new entrepreneurs out there, and they're not really sure how to navigate. And you know, I'm just telling them and speaking from my life experience. I've been an entrepreneur probably close to 30 years. And it's funny when I say that, but
we got a good one now. How long you been an entrepreneur, Chip?
Close to 30 years.
What? Nice.
And so all mine came from trial and error, you know, bouncing ideas off one another, coming and having these conversations. So
did you have a business mentor, like, you know what I'm saying, as you're mentoring people as an entrepreneur? Did you have one or some or what have you, or what?
In my mind, I didn't have like one person. It was almost like I was I don't know if you want to say sneaking information, you know, but anyway, it was unofficial, but they definitely was guiding me along the way, and I was getting gems and picking up stuff from various entrepreneurs that didn't walk that way, and also reading, you know, definitely been reading a lot in my earlier part of entrepreneur, and then now, I mean, I probably done read about 70 books over the last 3 years. So
wow,
yeah,
that's what's up. Hey, brother Corey, lifelong learner, teacher, principal, administrator. Part of your job title has been being a mentor, as well as what you do on the side. What's your take on mentoring intentionally, or just by being that example versus intentionally doing it? And how do you do it? I know it's done within your career. How do you do it outside your career as well?
Yeah, I think this is, you know, at first I thought this topic, you know, because it's like we all know people need mentors. One of the things I did, I actually, in my journey that you spoke about, when I was working for Computers for Kids back in the days in Charlottesville, which is a youth program that connected young people to technology and computers. They sent me to VCU, Virginia Commonwealth University, to get mentor training, right? And so I at one point, I don't know if my certification still straight, but I was a certified mentor, right? But the interesting thing, man, it was a psychologist that was presenting, and there was a study that they cited that Procter and Gamble did in the 90s, right? And in this study, it was found that one positive contact with a disconnected youth is enough to make them overcome their circumstances.
Wow.
One positive contact. Yeah, you can, and they had children in the study that had some of the worst circumstances, right? All they needed was one voice and a connection to that to inspire them, guide them to overcome those circumstances. So I thought that was powerful.
I believe that.
And then being an English major, the word mentor is a character in Greek mythology. Mentor was a character in Odysseus' journey to fight the Trojan War. He left Mentor in charge of his property and his family to guide and protect his family. And the goddess Athena would take the form of Mentor to give wisdom and guidance, right? And then, but the root of that word in Greek is the same root of the word mentality, mind. It's associated with thought, mentor.
Come on now.
Right, and wisdom. So to me, and the last thing I'm gonna say before I answer your question directly is, y'all remember Brother Ishmael Conway?
Oh yeah, for sure.
That was Charlottesville, powerful activist brother, man.
Yeah.
Man, one day I was around that brother and was glad to be able to get some of his wisdom, bro. And shout out to his wife, Sister Ayana Conway, as well, because she was a community mentor. But he He said, look, man, you got to count your impact by the number of young people you got around you. Right? And he said, and I'm not talking about your immediate family. He said, I'm talking about how many people not connected to you do you have your hands on it? And that was like a litmus test. And I always had that in the back of my mind. Like, who am I touching? You understand what I'm saying? And so I thought that was really, really powerful. But for me, of course, I've had to being an educator, I have had to mentor a lot. But I like Joaquin, man, you know, I coached over a decade myself, you know, 10 to 15 years. And I always said that when I left the classroom as a teacher, I like to coach because I could teach. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so
it's one and the same.
It's vitally important that people have a guide, right? Because that's like Joaquin said, it just saves time, right? We've been through all of this stuff, man. We've seen like old people. We used to say, man, old man don't know what he's talking about. That man has seen what you went through 200 times. And seen the result. And so for a young person to have a mentor is also to have like a safe, I'm gonna say a safe connection outside of your parents. Right? You know how we always say, man, will you please tell my son, because he ain't gonna listen to me.
Right.
You need somebody else in the village saying that same truth. That you know, it's just vitally important that we have people that serve the role. The last thing I'm gonna say is this. So now again, I'm not coaching anymore. I did coach last fall, y'all. I helped my sons coach football. I retired again after one season, man. They ain't bring the kids to practice no more, nothing. Man. I can't deal with this. Hey, look, so the practice you ain't playing, right? You know how we were. If you don't come to practice, you ain't playing. They can't afford to do that no more. So it's hard to be a part of that for me, right? But I always say this, man, right now, any young person I come into contact with, I'm mentoring. I got a word for them.
It's a part of your everyday makeup.
I got a good word for him, man. Whether it's my son's friend now or even now, this is the T. With my 3 sons, I ain't daddy no more. I'm a mentor. You know, man. When you was just fathering them, I had more authority and control in dictating direction. Now I gotta step back and let them be men and play coach, play mentor.
Yes,
you understand what I'm saying? You're not coming to no grown man telling them what to do, or you're not using mentoring language. Because here's what I would think about. Here's what I've seen. You understand what I'm saying? So to me, I don't think that role for concerned black men ever stops.
Hey, that's right. Hey, listen, this is to the group. Who was the first man outside of your family to pull you aside, correct you, show you some love? And if you can recall that moment and what it taught you.
We stuck.
No. He tripping off. Because you brought him up before on the good bow.
The good bow.
Yeah.
But that's a family member. That don't count.
No. Oh,
That's true. I think for me professionally, the one that kind of just jumps out to me is Pat Burns in real estate. You know, I would say what Pat did when he came into my life. I was a young person, 21 years old, looking for a home, looking to buy a home. And everybody was just like, nah, we ain't got time for you. People just poo-pooing me because I was young. Me and my wife out looking. And then I met Pat one day. On the day we got a rejection letter, I met Pat. And he was like, oh, where you work? And I was like, Jefferson Hotel. And he was like, he was like, what do you do there? I said, I'm a doorman. He was like, I bet you got a shoebox full of money, don't you? Because I used to play music down there, and I know that's a fancy hotel. I said, in fact, I do have a shoebox full of money. He said, no problem. We can help you get a house in no time. And man, I was moving in 3 weeks. You know, he was sincere. He treated me with respect, and he helped me find my first home. So then a few years later, when I got my real estate license and I called him up, he was like, you know, I'm like, I got this license. What do I do with it? and he was like, you know, come with me, you know, and I'll show you. And man, when I joined the firm and when I didn't have money to pay my fees, he paid them. He started telling me about all of these, you know, books to read and Tom Hopkins and all of this stuff, and just like really coaching me up on the profession. And so through that, you know, then, you know, being able to send my kids to private school and all of that stuff, and it allowed me, because up until that point I was pretty much, you know, doing blue collar work. I was working. I'm on working hard, right, J-Mo? But I was
sir, not you.
I was doing,
Not you, brother.
I was doing blue collar work, man. And so just getting into that profession, it allowed me to take vacations, and it just totally changed my life, man. And so professionally. So if I had to pinpoint one person professionally, I would say it was the origins of him. And then I think he probably helped you, Chubb, John, everybody. He ended up helping all of us buy houses.
Absolutely.
I think when I was wrestling with that question, man, I was just running all kind of different people in my mind, but definitely when I came down here and I joined an organization, Primerica, and Charles Patterson, who was my RVP, you know, showed me the ropes and helped me on my financial journey. And I give him so much credit, man, because he put me in the position I'm in today to be able to, you know, my wife and I put our son through college, and he didn't have to pay a dime. So, you know, but that all set from when my son was, when our son was like, I don't know, 3 months old, 6 months old, we started putting up money and being able to save. And then his first year of college, it was real funny because I was like, the money was there, but his college was paid for, but to be able to stay on campus wasn't. And it was just so easy. We didn't have to miss a step because the money had been already over there. It was able to just be able to utilize that and do it, you know, let him stay on campus. And he enjoyed that experience, and it really helped him just to get the college experience and moving forth and being able to, you know, when you run up into hiccups and financial hiccups, this money is over here, you can pull from it. So definitely shout out to, I always call him Coach Charles Patterson. We call him CP. So definitely want to give him shout outs.
Man, that was a tough question for me for a minute, man, because first thing I said, I was thinking about all black people at first.
Exactly.
I was.
That says something, right?
Then I say it again.
That says something because we all struggle.
Then, when I was 14, man, and playing baseball, I had this one coach named Mr. Marr, Jack Marr. He was a big real estate dude in Charlottesville at the time, and went to Harvard. And he had started watching me play when I was in Little League, like 12. When I got old enough to go up to play down that lane, he drafted me. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to make you a first baseman. You know, I used to play in the outfield and pitch. He bought me a first baseman's mitt, bought me my own bat. And it was the most expensive bats that was out at the time, the Black Magic. Anybody that played baseball know about that Black Magic. And I played for him for a couple of years, man, and then and stayed in contact with him through high school. He used to come watch me play. But before I went to college, man, he called me over to his office in Belmont, and we was talking. He gave me a check for like $600 as a gift to go off to college, right? Wow. And he said, "You know what, Corey? I heard a lot of good stuff about you over the years, and I heard a lot of bad stuff too. But you going off to college, you got a chance to be whoever you want to be around them people you're going to meet, right?" And he dropped that word on me, man, and I never forgot that. You know, I never did forget that when I went off to college, because I can't say, y'all know how much we used to run around and rebellious we was, man. And didn't take a whole lot of stuff seriously, right? And but when it was time for us to go to college, starting with Brother J. Moo belting out the Boys to Men song in graduation. And I remember that moment, and what I was going through with my thoughts is like, man, this is really it. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so that along with like what he said to me sort of made me level up on the maturity and be more serious. We all knew what to do when it was time to do it right. But I went to college with the mindset that I was gonna change. You know what I'm saying? From being so reckless. And I did, you know what I'm saying? And so that's one thing. And then on another level, you know, when I joined the Nation of Islam and became a FOI, the brothers in the mosque, man, I had 100 mentors.
Yes, sir.
It was business owners, it was brothers that had been in the military, and they all schooled you. You understand what I'm saying? And they took an interest in me, and I learned really how to be a man with around them brothers. You know what I'm saying? And so and they always had a good word. Took me with them places that I wouldn't have the resources to go to, you know, because I was their younger brother. So I got some great mentoring through that. The last thing I would say is because from 14 through high school, I can't really say I had a mentor. I mean, the way we grew up, there were not a lot of black men that worked at our school or anything like that. I didn't come in contact with black professional men. I know we had that one group, Brothers United or whatever the groups we had at Albemarle.
Yeah,
I would
Brothers
count that.
United.
When I got to Virginia State University, those professors, not during class, but when I would go to their office after class and they tell you to come see them, they sat down. One of them sat me down and said, man, let me tell you something. Can't many people write like you do. Ain't many of our people that can write like you. Don't you never forget it. Go send this article that you wrote in my class to this friend of mine at the Richmond Times.
Powerful.
And see what you can do with it. Let me give you a topic. Let me see what you can do with it. So I would have to say that they leveled up my mind about my gifts and talents. You know what I'm saying? And I saw a reel today. This brother said he was a pastor. He was telling his church, don't get mad at me, but to all the women, you can't make no man. You can give birth to a man. You can't make no man. You know why? Because a young man needs to be seen by a man in order to grow into a man. He needs to have a man that exceeds him. And when I got to Virginia State, I felt seen. You know what I'm saying? Wow. So I think those are some of the mentoring experiences that I can say right now. And of course, there's some people I didn't have a great connection to, but like Dr. Turner. You know, you learn from his example and see what he's doing with people and stuff like that.
Brother Rick Turner.
Poppy.
Yeah. Yeah, you better believe I got a sweet tooth, but ain't nothing sweet. I know you spend all your money to treat. I'm about to spend this little money on treats. Was on a diet, but I gotta cheat. Jumped off the porch, now I'm on 2nd Street. To make up my twin, she rolling that dough, and I think about counting that dough in my sleep. What's up, TJ? Before y'all run, I don't wanna be late. I need a little something, I hit this way, and I need it now, I don't need a delay. Peanut butter like my snack, like my woman. Denzel Washington, I'm leaving with sun. Chocolate chip, baby, you know how I'm coming. Banana pudding, no, we got it jumping, yeah. Yeah, got butterific, I'm feeling terrific. Serving them cookies is not just a gimmick. They pulling them now cause they love to mimic, yeah. I need a pack, I need a sack, I need a stack, I need a rack. Man, I need everything in a bag down.
You better believe it.
Ay, butterific, yeah, butterific, butterific.
Turner.
Yeah, man. You know, that's a great point, man. Sometimes Dr. Turner was one of those people for me. You know what I mean? When my boys was coming up and I was trying to figure out some stuff, you know, I went and sat in his office and was like, "Hey, man, how you do that?" You know, I saw you send all 3 of your kids to play Division I sports, you know, in college on scholarship. You know, how you do that? And man, we had some great conversations, and he was definitely one of those people that I pulled on from time to time.
Yeah, yeah.
John, you made this question extremely tough, man, when you said outside the family, because, man, I wanted to give shout outs to my brother, man. So just navigating and being able to show me the way, man. So he made that thing tough.
That's
Hey,
that's beautiful.
hey, the thing you realize is that all of us had to think deeply about that, right? And we do know that charity started at home, and that's where it should start. But that did make it more challenging. So hopefully, when people see us or the people, our family who watching the show, that the neighbor will recognize us for doing a good deed, or recognize us when we coach them, or remember us, the positive that we speak into them. So absolutely, can show your brother some props, and we've done that before. but yeah, we've done that before, and it's super. Like I said, it starts at home. My first thought was, again, getting outside of the family, outside of the church, even was Mr. Chuck Lewis. I had a job at the produce shop. He owned the produce company, one of the first Black entrepreneurs that I was really aware of, honestly. And I had a job. I forget the exact title, but he had me doing something different. Had me doing something different every day, doing this, and I couldn't stand it. Right, moving fruit around, this, that, the other, picking the good from the bad. And he had wrote a book at the time, so I took his book and read his book, and then I quit. Right, so. But what happened was I had a phone conversation, man. I never forget talking to him, with the phone with the coil on the back in the days, and I quoted his book to him. And man, he said the most encouraging stuff, man. And that was the most like, don't ever forget that. Boom, 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 boom. And so I kind of regret that I didn't continue to seek out his mentorship, right? I wasn't intentional enough or mature enough to say, hey, man, I need to stay in touch. Because he was literally offering that, but I didn't have the didn't know that I needed that. I knew I needed it, but sometimes we need to seek out our mentors, our mentees as well, right? Even today, I miss talking to 75-year-old Black men. You know what I mean? I got a great uncle. That's awesome. But sometimes in the community, I don't see him until we go to church, and yeah, but that was important. Chuck Lewis, and then he passed away. But yeah, absolutely, Mr. Rick Turner. Even seeing E. Will coach us in football when he came back and started coaching, man, that was a big deal for me to see him coaching. And I was like, damn, I can do it now. You know what I mean? I might not be as good of a player he was.
Possibilities,
yeah. But man, I can And like Brother Corey just said, it ain't nothing like somebody just coaching you and really loving you, mentoring through teaching, coaching, neighborhood or whatever. Even if you're messing around in the neighborhood and they snatch you up because you was wrong, right? But when they do it out of love, it ain't nothing like it in the world. Especially, like I say, shout out to Virginia Union, run into a lot of professors and stuff where you were not a number, right? And they sincerely cared about your success. Hey, let me ask you this. Hold
up. It was kind of close to. I guess it was close because of around the time that I recall outside, like you said, outside of the family. But it had to have been. Y'all remember? Well, I know you do remember Tor, a manager.
Tor
BFNS. Kind of between him.
Where's Tor from, man?
Tor was from what? He was.
Yugoslavian,
Norwegian. I don't know. Balkans or something. He was cool. He was cool as I don't know what. And so outside of as far as him being my manager at Foot Locker at the time and whatnot, I believe I did get a few, a few life gems that he shared from his experience being a little older than we were, and but also, as far as a Black influence or mentor, James Hughes, Michelle Hughes' father. I have to look. And when you, as you said, we had to really kind of think about it. And I thought about, like, wow, yeah, he did offer great mentorship. And what brought him to mind, JG, was when you mentioned the produce piece. Because I tried to get work, and I actually did work with him when he was down there at the spot downtown somewhere. I forgot, but it was just some very difficult and laborious joints with some feed and moving this, that, and the third. But it tickled me because he other than my dating his daughter at the time and everything is I probably could have married her. I had his blessing to see him because he was he cared enough to at least try to guide me in some kind of way aside from that, you know what I mean? Because obviously it was cool for me to be around him and all, but when I look back
that, brother,
in
you
deep,
don't really mean you could have married her. You mean you had his permission if you had wanted to.
Oh yes, sir. Thank you, brother.
Right.
Thank you.
Man, that his mentor, the James Evans of the Charlottesville area. Everybody
no, and it was also cool.
I was almost shocked. I said, I didn't even know that was cool.
He said the James Evans show. You are a nut, man. But that's actually
he was diesel like James Evans too.
Yes, sir. They won't about no mess or nothing. But man, he was a beautiful spirit, though, brother, of mentorship and of a hardworking man to take care of his family. And so those type of things I felt I could get from him as well. I did get from him as well. But dang it, you make me lose my thought, brother Corey.
Other thing I gotta say real quick, I hope Michelle husband, I hope she done told him about you. You got to find out on the podcast.
Oh, that's what it was, JG. So the awesome thing with him as well is that even long after Michelle and I were no longer an item and all, he influenced my younger brothers, the twins, Kenny and Cody as well, bro, and just made sure that whatever he could do and offer and be to them as well. And so he's one I definitely appreciate. Shout
out to the brother, man.
Hey, shout out to Reverend Only too. Reverend Only.
I think a relative. I think his sister or somebody did recently.
His sister. Okay.
I believe.
As we are having this conversation, everybody's saying what they're saying. I wrote down a couple of words, and the two words that came to mind was hope and vision. And that's what I realized that mentors do, is that they help you crystallize a vision for your own life, and then they give you hope that you can actually execute on that vision. And that's the biggest thing that we need to understand, is that, man, one of the scariest things that I came to realize is one day my son Darius came home. He was like, Dad, I was at the club last night, and one of your players was talking to me. I was at the bar, and he keeps saying, man, your dad changed my life. And he Darius man, will you go ahead with that, man? I'm trying to get a woman up in here. You know what I mean? He was like, will you go ahead? And he's like, man, your dad just changed my life. And I was like, who was it? And he told me who it was. I was like, well, what did I say? What did I do? And he was like, I don't know, Dad. I'm just telling you what he was.
He didn't care about all that.
Right, exactly. but in that moment,
that's dope though.
Because I did not remember having a profound relationship. A profound conversation. We had a great relationship. Because I did not remember, all of a sudden, a tremendous amount of fear washed over me. Because in that moment, I realized that any single word, any single sentence can have a profound impact on someone's life. And we need to be absolutely careful, conscious, and mindful of every single thing that we say to young people.
You said this, yeah.
That is a tremendous amount of power to have when you have that kind of influence, to be loosened lips and not understand the consequences of what you say. And one sentence can take someone's life in a tremendously different direction. Wow. We need to understand the impact of that and take it serious and not play with it and give it the attention that it deserves. Because what if I'd have said something negative? You know what I mean? And,
right.
and took that young man in a different direction, and so that's what I'm a big believer. It is a tremendous amount of power to understand that you can have that kind of influence and impact on someone's life, and we need to take it serious at all times.
And let me ask this
I
question,
think
man.
another thing.
Go ahead, bro.
Okay,
Go ahead, bro.
I think another thing. Sometimes you don't have to say something that's profound. All you have to do is turn your head and give that person some attention, because I mean, the streets can give you some attention, and you running that way. Somebody saying something positive and give you some attention, you know, you can lean towards that and change your whole trajectory of life. I think a lot of times, man, is whoever paying attention to you and giving you some conversation, and that's attracted to people who hadn't had that in their life.
Y'all
Yeah, that's
remember how rebellious we were, right? As teenagers,
Yes,
How
sir.
what?
right?
How rebellious
Like,
we were.
Oh yeah, for sure.
yeah. 'Cause I could probably see somebody seeing me as hard to mentor in some ways, right? Because like I said, we was chasing, we had our own agenda. Like whatever you was
For
telling
sure.
me, I'm worried about that later. But right now we chasing the drink, we chasing these females, we
Absolutely.
chasing
That's what
these
I'm saying.
parties, right? And so, man, what do you don't tell me, man? Come on, man. Look at him. So
Right.
this is my question though about that. As rebellious as we were, so we've established the importance of mentoring. How do you do it now with these youngins out here now that don't give a shit about too much and that's suffering in ways that's unimaginable 30 years ago when we was coming through? That's the question. How do we reach them? How do we reach somebody that don't want mentorship? Don't want guidance. We talked about it last time. Don't want no male guidance. That's the question.
Please let me. I just had this conversation. I literally just had this conversation. And here's what happens, in my opinion. If you ask a kindergartner or first grader what they want to be when they grow up, they'll say 5 different things. I want to be a firefighter, police officer. I want to play professional soccer. I want to be an astronaut. They got all this stuff in their mind.
Right.
You ask that same kid 10 years later when they're 15, you say, what you want to be when you grow up? And they'll shrug their shoulders and say, I don't know. Because here's what has happened. The world will tell you what you can't be. Your parents will tell you what you have to be, but you got to decide what you're going to be. And so many times, man, the reason they give you that response, Chubb, is because they've given up on their dream. They don't think they have no hope of ever achieving it. And now they're mad and bitter and angry with the world. So the first thing I would do, and that I do, is when I come in contact with those young people, the first thing that I start to get them to do is reimagining their vision and their dream for their life. Hey, man, what is it? And a lot of times they'll be very resistant at first. You know, I don't know. But if you dig deep, and this is the question I have asked that I have found gets the most results. And the question is, if you knew you could not fail, what would you be? When you ask that question, it immediately takes failure out of the equation. And now that young person is able to give you an answer. They will give you an answer. And when they give you that answer, whatever it is, that's when you then kick into, you can actually still do that. Let me show you how to do it. Let me show you someone who has done it. And let me give you a game plan for coming around and bringing about change in your life. And I'm telling you, man, I have seen tremendous results with young people who, through that conversation right there, have been able to turn their lives around. From 18-year-olds to 25-year-olds to whoever, they get refocused and a new vision. And now you start coaching them up on how to get there. You can change their life. And it's amazing to see it happen.
Now let me ask you this question.
Go ahead, James.
It may be similar to what I was about to say, but with what Brother Core had mentioned as to how or whatever we kind of touched on, and if you think about Brother Corey's experience from the first mentors and such, Waukee being a mentor, it has been done through like sports or whatever, right? You know, some coaches, people in those positions have been probably either that or professional, right? So that those things kind of give a segue to it, to the mentorship and whatnot. But then, as Marquise, or what came to mind then, what if they're not in sports, you know what I'm saying, or anything like that, and having a coach? Because usually that's the first, first person or whomever that would be outside the family, as well as feeling and wanting to feeling responsible to guide those the young people that they're coaching or what have you. So what I guess the question then is, for if they're not in sports, and for us it was kind of late, late in the mentorship piece, because I was at like 19 years old or so, with my work experience, or being people in professional positions or coaches. So if they're not in those positions, then speaks more to what Brother Corey's question was, as to how do we reach them then, or how do we reach them?
I'm trying to get to that, and I think because you are getting to what I'm saying is, because I get that Waukee had arrested people. We losing. Yeah. We losing like crazy with our young people, right? And so my question is, what happened? So if that recipe, and I agree, I like that formula that Waukee had, and we all have our different ways of getting at that. But the point is, ain't nobody listening. So did our generation drop the ball? Because we must not have our hand around enough of them if it's too many of them out here on the street out of pocket. Because one of the things I think about our generation, when you look at all of these podcasts and different shows, we still trying to be street niggas at 50. We focus on the wrong stuff. We still sending the wrong message of every podcaster that plays sports about their talking about, when I was growing up, what we used to do, we hit a nigga when we play. That's all the bullshit they talk about.
Man, don't be talking about Jay Prince.
How to help young people out of their situation. So our generation is a bunch of clowns out here, man, because we done negated the responsibility. We modeling the wrong stuff. You see what I'm saying? And so I think there's a mentoring is absolutely important, but there's an absence of competent mentors out here, because like I said, we got too many grown-ups that's just on the wrong stuff, bro. Not even thinking about that.
We've been talking about mentorship.
They're trying to guide them to the street.
That's exactly what I was going to say. We've been talking about mentorship, but we've been talking it from a positive perspective. What about some negative? You talking about the negative mentors that are winning. They're winning. They're overcoming. They're beating us. They're winning. Why? Because the algorithm sent them that foolishness. You know what I mean? That's a part of it. And so my brother always say, whoever got your ear got your destiny. So the question is, who has their ear? And why is, Quando Rondo or rappers or Julio Fulio and all that? I don't know that shit.
That you can say Julio Fulio.
Yeah, man,
you was about to say something, Chill. What was that? Did he touch on what you was about to say, Chill?
That's actually a good rap name. No.
Yeah, so like that's more influence. And that influence is being pumped and fed to our young people. And so and one of the reasons our podcast don't have more followers, because it's positive. Because it's positive. And trying to have a positive show like we doing is like trying to be a positive hip-hop artist. You know how hard that is? Right, you know what I mean? Don't nobody want to hear that. The foolishness get played for our young people. And that's what got their minds, and that's what's taking them in the direction it's taking them. And so, but we just got to keep pounding the pavement, and you get our hands on them one at a time. That's how I see it.
I definitely like your approach. I think it definitely will have an impact. But my question was similar to what was displayed, was when you give them that hope and you put them with that mentor and they feeling inspired, and then they go home and then mom and dad and them
beat it out.
Bash them, right?
Who you think you are? You can't do that.
Right. Yeah. Right. Like, hey, do you listen to mom and dad, or do you continue letting the mentor develop that area because they probably been there before?
I think that kind of go back to kind of what John was saying when he was saying, I wish I had known to stay in touch with with him. I wish I had known to stay in touch with that guy. And so as a mentor, you have to understand that a lot of times that, you know, when they spend time with you, it's 2 steps forward. And then when they go back into their environment, it's 3 steps back. And so now you have to give them the resources that they have to tap into. You have to provide them with books. You have to provide them with podcasts, instruments, other people, and say, hey, start listening to this, start paying attention to this. And that's how you kind of combat that when they go back into that environment, because they're taking this new mindset back into their old environment. And that becomes tremendously difficult for them to overcome, because one reason is you love these people. Nobody steals more dreams than parents and grandparents. Parents and grandparents, the biggest dream thieves in the world. Why? It's out of protection. They're trying to protect you. They think they're protecting you, but what they're doing is projecting onto you what they feel like they could never do, or what they could never
talk about the grandparents and the parents, man.
They don't mean to do it. They really don't. They don't mean to do it. And who do you get off coming in here thinking you're gonna do something better than us? You think you better than us, don't you? That's the kind of stuff, because you love these people and they're around you. That's the stuff that can hold a lot of people back. I heard Oprah Winfrey tell a story not too long ago when she said when her grandma would be out there washing clothes for white folks, and and Oprah's grandma would say to her, I sure hope when you grow up you get you some good white folks like I got. And Oprah said, even as a young person, she was thinking, and she didn't say it out loud, but she was thinking, I wish my grandma, she said, I'm not going to get no good white folks. But then she said, now she was telling the story. She said, I wish my grandma could see all the good white folks that work for me now, you know? And so her grandma didn't mean no harm. Right. Jay-Z's uncle didn't mean no harm when he told him he wasn't going to be able to sell 1 million records. They don't mean no harm. They just can't see it. And one of the reasons they can't see it, because God didn't give them the vision. He gave it to you.
1,000.
He didn't give them the vision. He gave you the vision. And now you can't expect other people to see something. He didn't give them sight. There's a difference between sight and vision. And
what's the difference, bro? What's the difference, bro?
Hey, man, sight is I can just use my eyes and look at it. Vision, I got to use my imagination, bro. I got to use my imagination. You got to be a millionaire in your mind long before you actually become one. You got to be an NFL player in your mind long before you become one. You got to be an opera singer, a ballet dancer, whatever. You was talking about mentors. I saw a young fella. I was just checking into the hotel. I started talking to the dude. Next thing you know, he told me he want to be a dancer. Man, 15 minutes after talking to this dude, man, I was his favorite person in the world because I made him believe he could be a dancer.
Wow.
Because his folks have been telling him he couldn't.
Wow. That's
you know,
awesome.
I don't know this dude. This is just a dude that's working at the Embassy Suites at the front desk. I was his favorite guy when I walked through the lobby.
He trying to be.
The man had 2 left feet, Joaquin. Why you gas like that, man?
Brother Corey, you foolish. That's
I was just curious.
I don't know what kind of dance you want to be.
The streets and social media, offer the instant validation, money, and the brotherhood, and we have to counter that some sort of way, right? And sometimes we get overwhelmed with that. And my first thought was like, it's like how you eat an elephant, right? It's one bite at a time. We can't change everything overnight. It's hard enough to do it within yourself when you know you need to change. And I'm thinking, first of all, be bold. Don't be no scared person, right? And we don't have to take on a mentorship and call somebody 5 days a week. It could be, like you said, a wise word. You know what I mean? Encouragement. I'm not afraid of no young man. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to be silly about it, right? But you're going to walk through there confidently, and you're going to lead. Yeah. What
you say, brother Corey? What you say? Yeah. What you say?
Love, respect, discipline, accountability.
150 pounds walking around with guns with switches on them.
It's bigger than them. Way more than them.
How much they weigh, Chubb?
150.
No, and it's good. And it's good that you pointed that out. JG, as far as the formal versus informal mentorship. You know what I mean? Because that's what I want. I want our viewers and those who may tune in to the podcast to realize that it doesn't always have to be a formal mentorship, and it can be just as informal as Juan mentioned. Coach Juan mentioned with regards to just seeing somebody at the in
at the hotel
transaction and whatnot. Yeah, exactly.
But I just think, man, that I wanted to raise that alarm, man, because I get you can eat an elephant, you take one bite at a time. You got to start somewhere, one by one. But man, the sense of urgency, man, we're losing our people.
Yes, and you're a lot closer to see this.
Who we are. We're dying. We're going to jail. I just feel as a people, and then and that's in the face of a country that's Jim Crow too, and trying to move this thing racially backwards. We don't have time to wait to clean up our young people, bro. You know what I'm saying? And so my thing is, it's not about, we can do it in vacuums and pocket, but if we don't find a way to black men in the community to come together to come up with some strategy, then that system of racism that they got and oppression that they got will wipe us off of the face of this earth.
Well, excellent.
That's true. All facts. All facts. Yeah. So, but all you can do is just do your part. All I'm saying, sometimes people get overwhelmed and saying, I can't do this. Just take a step forward. Just do something. Don't ignore your neighbor. You ain't got to be best friends, but speak to the young man. Speak to the fella. You never know. Like we talked about in coaching, man. When coach told me I was the best DB in the district, he wasn't even my position coach. You know what I'm saying? But I never forget that. Like one of the professors at Piedmont turned me on to a program. I never forget that because he saw something in me. You know what I mean? I was working 2 jobs, falling asleep in class, but I was sitting in the front row. And so stuff like that, like you say, it could be the 15-minute conversation Joaquin talked about. So Core is absolutely 1,000% right. So we got to stay involved, step up, especially at home. It starts at home, right? Step up in the community. Any final words, fellas?
No, good subject.
Hey,
good.
We got to make our communities a decent, safe place to live.
Yes, sir.
That's right.
All right, man.
Go ahead, Why?
Well, no, you go ahead. I was going to close.
Oh, yeah, I was saying it earlier. I just wanted to say lead, be bold, lead with love, respect, accountability, okay? And everything gonna fall in space. You don't need to say 1,000 words. You don't need to, do everything, but just make a decision. Make a decision.
Well, I guess since you're saying final thoughts and stuff like that, be sure your actions are consistent with what you talk about. You know what I'm saying? Your action have to be in step with what you're saying. You can't be a hypocrite. You don't want to be hypocritical as a mentor. You know what I mean? So all the qualities that you laid out and listed, JG, right on point. But I just wanted to add that you can't be a mentor and be a hypocrite at the same time.
Absolutely. Hey, another great conversation in the book. Oh, go ahead, Chip.
No, I was gonna say one of my final words. If y'all heard something in this episode, did you just share with somebody to get them on board to this good information we give them?
Yeah, another brother Core.
No, I'm good, bro. I think I probably said enough today.
Hey, that's all good. Hey, another great conversation in the books. Please hit the subscribe button. Call to action. Start at home with the family, a mentor, neighborhood. Do something. You don't have to be the biggest task, but take one step. Thanks for joining the family today. What you got? What you got for us, Why?
In the words of the great Frederick Douglass, it is easier to raise strong children than to repair broken men. Peace.
Peace. Each one teach one.